check it out. We are to the point of getting the wheels back together, so I'm going to start assembling the rear wheel first, which is right here. I've got the Honda service manual, aka the Grom Bible. We're going to go ahead and start reassembling this thing. I do have some grease right here. We're working from the inside out. So you've got your distance collar, which go in the center. You got your bearing, your O-ring, damper rubbers. You got a little spacer piece, which is this piece right here. Then we have the basically the outside fixture, which is that whole piece there, and then the sprocket, but we're not there yet. And then on the other side, you have your rotor bolts, your rotor, the other bearing, and a dust seal. So we're gonna get started with the bearing on this side. Here's a fun little trick that many of you guys have posted up telling me to do. The bearings are actually currently in the freezer. So I'm gonna go ahead and actually unpackage this, make sure that we have the correct size to drive the bearings in, and go from there. Alright, so we have the rear done, and before the bearings warm up too much, I'm going to go ahead and reinstall them in the front as well. So basically it's the seal, the dust seal, bearing, the spacer, and then the bearing on the other side. Alright, so we have the bearings and the dust seals in both of the wheels. That rhymed. It was actually a little easier than I thought it would be. Cool, man. It's a good tool right there. I'll be sure to link that down in the description below as well. I think we're all done with the grease. We'll leave it there just in case. So now that we have the bearings in there, the spacers in the center, the collars or whatever you call them, this is the front wheel. So I'm going to go ahead and start reassembling it, put the rotor back on. So I got the rotor bolts. Rotor back on the front wheel, torque down to spec with the new rotor bolts. That thing should be good to go back on, I believe. Anyways, gonna set this one aside and let's get to work on the rear. All right, so check it out. I've got the rotor back on, torque these down to spec. So that wheel is ready to go. Also got the valve stem back on there, sprocket back on. So that is put together and good to go. Now I do need to install the valve stem on the other wheel. These are cool, these aftermarket valve stems. Bam, valve stem on. Okay, so next step for these things, take them to cycle gear and get the wheels put on. Call Edwin real quick, see if they're up there and if they'd be able to do that today. If they are, that's what I'll be doing. Bam, and just like that, we're up here at cycle gear. So let's stick these wheels in, get some tires put on them. All right, we got tires on the wheels. We are one step closer to getting this Grom done, son. All right, let's go back to the garage. All right, so we have the tires back on the wheels. The wheels are all back together. We've got rotors, new rotor bolts, the sprocket, the bearings, the dust covers, the grease. That was quite the job. So it's going to be real nice whenever we get these back onto that. I hope you guys are enjoying these episodes. I know a lot of y'all have been commenting that you're really enjoying following along with the build. I'm learning a lot during the whole process, so it'll be cool to be able to take the knowledge that I'm gaining for this and put it towards future builds as well. If you guys are interested in getting in on this, be sure to join Patreon. Basically, the amount of pledges you have is the amount of entries you get. You can do as little or as much as you want. You can join at patreon.com/blockheadmoto. I'm going to be giving away this Grom. And then I'm also giving away a GoPro Hero 6 Black to some random people. So one person will be selected for this. One person will be selected for the GoPro. This is contiguous 48 United States only. Now the GoPro is worldwide, so international patrons can get in on that. Anyways, I'm really looking forward to getting these wheels back on. So let's go ahead and get to work. Alright, so there we go, new chain gestures are installed. So if you guys don't know about the Honda Grom, basically it comes with these chain adjusters stock, right? Now the thing that sucks about these things is they're really flimsy. Anytime you go to take out, remove the rear axle, adjust the tire or anything like that, they have a tendency to want to fall out. And so these basically prevent that from happening. Much more quality chain adjusters, and it's a 1-bolt adjustment. So you guys see how that's there. You basically have this, and then you just adjust it from there. You can see it moving. So much easier than those things. And in addition to it being an easier chain adjustment, you also have the spool. So you can use rear stand with the spool instead of having to use what I'm using right here. So I can switch over essentially to that new stand over there, and I can use this stand on the front forks. Makes it a lot easier instead of having to use one of these lifts. Alright, so the rear wheel is back on. Torque down to spec. Looks good. I like it. So now to get the front back on, right? What I'm going to probably do is, I don't want to use this rear stand anymore, so I'm probably going to switch over to the one that has the spools on it, since I have spools on this one now. Alright, so that's what I'm talking about when I'm saying you can use a rear stand that's made for spools. See, that's so much more convenient than using that one with the back of the bike, especially if you need to clean, adjust your chain, or take off the wheel. So at this point, I need to get the front wheel and tire back on, and I can't do that with that in place. Now, the thing about this bike is there's not really any good spots to like lift it up. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna remove the exhaust, which is that line there. If I put that under it right there, it causes the bike to tilt left. If you guys remember, whenever I was taking that front wheel off, I had to lift it up, kick the wheel out of the way, and I had a piece balanced kind of like right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove the exhaust since I'm changing it out anyways. We have that exhaust to put on it so that I can get a good surface to hold the bike up while I put the front wheel back on. Stock exhaust is off. It's pretty crazy how big and bulky that thing is. Peace. Wheels are back on the Grom. All right, good to go. It's funny because that one looks like it's touching the ground, right? But it's barely off the ground. Everything on, torque to spec. I think we're good to get it off of that lift right there. And then we can start putting stuff back on. I gotta get this chain done though, so I've never done a chain before. So I'm gonna go ahead and try and do that. Thing is dirty, crazy greasy. Probably remove this. That's a little easier to work on, but got to get to that master link right there, undo it, take it off, and remove the cover here. It's hot, let's get to it. Old chain is off. New chain coming up. Pro Taper PT 428 MX gold chain. All right, blockheads. So the new chain looks great. It's got this really crazy sticky stuff on it. I'm sure it keeps it nice and preserved and keeps it from rusting and all that. But the chain is quite a bit too long, and unfortunately I don't have a way of breaking the chain because I don't have a chain breaker tool. But I did just order one, so it should be here in a few days. I've been at this since pretty much super early this morning, 8 a.m. and it's now about 4 p.m. So I'm totally beat. And I have to basically go and edit these videos. So I'm going to take a breather, I'm gonna get some water, I'm going to edit,
And I'm gonna pick up this video in the next episode. I'm gonna have the chain breaker tool in. We'll basically break the chain, string it through the sprockets and all that. That's the update. A lot of progress made today. We got the wheels and tires on, and chain off, exhaust off. It's coming along. I think it should be together probably by the next episode, and then we'll have one more episode, which will be the reveal. So hope you guys are enjoying the episodes for the Grom build so far. Big shout out to the Blockhead patrons out there for making this build possible. So yeah, like I said, if you guys don't know, I am going to be giving this Grom away once it's done and built out. I'm going to be randomly selecting one Blockhead patron to receive it based on the amount of pledges equals the amount of entries over the last 3 months. So I'm giving it away the beginning of October, but we're going to basically tally all the pledges for the last 3 months. If you guys are interested in joining in on it, like I said, be sure to go visit patreon.com/blockheadmoto and join the community. Like I said, I'm super beat, so I'm gonna get out of here. Anyways, if you guys did enjoy the episode, be sure to hit that like button. If you guys aren't subscribed already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell icon as well so it sends you notifications of future uploads and activity. If you guys have friends out there that enjoy this kind of stuff, motorcycle content, be sure to share the channel with them. Until next time, you guys ride safe out there, stay vigilant. I'll catch y'all later. Deuces.